Dear friends, since Miss Nanette Joy, the program coordinator of M.COM, insisted that I give a review of a book, I quickly read up a recent book which gave me a lot of practical insights. The title of the book is The Psychology of Money, Timeless Lessons on Wealth, Greed and Happiness, by an award-winning author, Morgan Housel. This is one of the best books on personal finance, which was first published in 2020. In the libraries, this book could be catalogued under the broad subject of behavioral finance. Morgan Housel is a partner at the Collaborative Fund, where he writes a regular blog. Previously, he was a columnist of the Wall Street Journal. Neat and crisply written, this book offers a lot of wisdom and high quality content. It is concise, less than 250 pages, and of course to the point. Money in terms of investing, personal finance and business decisions is typically taught as a math-based field where data and formulas tell us exactly what to do. But the real world, people don't make financial decisions on a spreadsheet. They make them at dinner table or in meeting room, where personal history, your own unique view of the world, ego, pride, marketing, and odd incentives are scrambled together. In this book, Morgan Housel shares 19 stories exploring the strange ways people think about money. It covers observations on our relationship with money and tells us how our thinking towards finances drives critical decisions of our life. The underlying premise of the book is that doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and everything to do with how you behave. There are 20 chapters in the book, and I don't intend to go for a summary of all the chapters. Instead, I would like to concentrate on chapters that impressed me. One key chapter of the book is on the role of luck and risk. In this chapter, Morgan identifies the reality that every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individual effort. And these are luck and risk, which he describes as close siblings. Why is this? The world is too complex to allow 100% of your actions to determine 100% of your outcomes. You are one person out of more than 7 billion people and almost infinite moving parts. The accidental impact of actions outside your control can be impactful than the ones you consciously take. He rightly points out that luck is something we tend to ignore, despite it being as powerful and prevalent as risk. When luck is undoubtedly a big factor in life, its impact on successful outcomes is something we can't measure. Therefore, we can't know for sure how much of someone's success or misfortune is due to this invisible force. He therefore urges us to be careful when assuming that 100% of outcomes can be attributed to individual effort and personal decisions. Morgan once wrote, "Not all success is due to hard work, and not all poverty is due to laziness." Keep this in mind when judging people, including yourself. In this chapter on getting wealthy versus staying wealthy, he says, there are plenty of ways to get wealthy. The self-help industry bombards with ways to do so. But there is only a few ways to stay wealthy, and that is a combination of frugality and paranoia. He uses the example of Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest stock traders of all time, who committed suicide in 1940. Jesse was very good at getting wealthy, but terrible at staying wealthy. When talking about the significance of tail events, he opines, tail events are only one of a million events that drive the majority of outcomes. Anything that is hugely profitable, influential, and famous is a result of a tail event. Tails drive everything in business and investing. I have no doubt this idea was inspired from the Pareto principle, where 80% of outcomes are the result of 20% of inputs. He observes that good investing isn't about earning the highest return, but about earning moderately good returns for the longest period of time. This is where compounding really works wonders. In the chapter on the role of surprises and unknowns, he quotes Stanford professor Scott Sagan, who says, "Things that have never happened before happen all the time. History is study of surprising events, and therefore relying on past data as a guide to future conditions is futile. Economics is a field where change happens all the time. If there is one thing history has taught us is that outlier events move the needle the most. These outliers, such as depression and now the COVID-19, are unknown unknowns. Despite having no ability to forecast them, they have an enormous role in shaping the global economic and political landscape. When talking about folly of forecasters, he asserts, when forecasters assume the worst and best events of the past will match the worst and best events of the future, you are making a mistake, assuming the history of unpredictable events apply to the future. Morgan describes this as a failure of imagination. Structural changes in economy makes history a poor guide to the future. Finally, there is another problem with using history as a guide to the future. That is, history doesn't account for the structural changes which are relevant today. Economies, businesses, and stock markets evolve. Things are constantly changing. What works in one period won't work in another. As a rule, he shows that the further back in history you look, the more likely you are examining a world that no longer applies today. So in conclusion, some of my favorite insights from the book are the following. There are plenty of ways to get wealthy, but only a few ways to stay wealthy. Tail events, rare outlying events, drive the majority of outcomes. Wealth gives you control over your time. It gives you the freedom to wake up in the morning and do whatever you want. History is a study of surprising events. Things have never happened. Things that never happened before happen all the time. Nothing in life and investing is free. There is a price, but it isn't always obvious. Identify the price, sow it as a fee, and decide if you want to pay it. Psychology of Money is an essential read for anyone interested in being better with money. Fast-paced and engaging, this book will help you refine your thoughts towards money. You can finish this book in 2 days' time, unlike other books that are very lengthy. Thank you for the patient listening and wish you all the best.